So parents out there trying to work with your kids and you're trying to build running form or at least have some good practices. I've got 3 things that you need to watch for to make sure that you're constantly working with your kid to get out of that habit. First one is going to be knee height or knee drive, the upright body position, and crazy arms. Let's dive into each one of them so we can give some great tips to parents out there on how they can help their young athletes run faster. The first one that we mentioned is going to be the knee drive. If your kid runs and their knees barely get up near their waist, you either need to start doing hip flexor drills, or most of the time with young kids, you just got to make them aware of it. You need to start telling them, get your knees up when you're running. A lot of times when kids are 8 and under, 10 and under, sometimes when you get some kids that just don't really pay attention and don't know that they're supposed to do it. So starts by just doing a little verbal coaching there.
I think they get into a habit of a certain running style and they don't realize it. And I've found that maybe videotaping that, helping them understand, why didn't I get to that play?
Yeah,
why
that's
am
a great
I not
idea.
running with these other kids?
Yeah, shoot a little bit of video footage. Kids love the Instagrams and the TikToks anyway. Show them a little video. But you want to generally see an athlete's knees get up near their belt. General rule of thumb, pretty easy to see. If your kid runs and they're very it's kind of like a flip method. You stay very erect and you're kind of just almost like a pencil run. Look at the knee drive and try to correct it. You can also do different types of high knee drills and things with them a lot to help them understand what that actually looks like. But normally when you start getting some more knees, the arms still don't get any better. So number 2,
about this, huh?
Yeah, number 2, for sure, without a doubt, you need to check youngsters' arms. If they've got crazy arms running all over the place, no, it is not just their style. They are very coachable. You can tell them what to do, and they will most likely fix it nearly instantly or within a couple weeks. Stay on them a little bit and make sure that, obviously, the right arm, the left knee.
Yeah.
Sometimes we got some backward stuff when you're doing high knee drills and things, but getting the cadence correct, actually moving them, start with a good 90. A lot of times kids that let their arms drop a ton, they get a little squirrely and it gets a little swingy from side to side. So just get them in a good 90 as a general rule of thumb. And if their own genetics and style kind of leak into that and they get a little bit of a straight arm motion over time, that's not really a problem. That's not going to deter your speed. You see elite level sprinters all the time that break at the elbow a little bit. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not really a deal breaker that they have to be at a 90 the entire time.
I think I've found that a lot of kids don't really realize how much your upper body can help you with your running speed and your agility, your change of direction. And it's a timing thing. It's when I don't feel natural, then I just don't do it.
Yeah, a simple drill that you can do just as the first exercise, we had a little bit of high knees, can obviously kind of help a kid understand to get their knees up. In this version, if you sit down directly on your butt and then you tell the kids to just move their arms in a 90 and really get pretty aggressive with it. You want to move them. Let the elbow go back behind the back. Let it come up and get the hand in front of the face. Sometimes kids have never even felt this before running around playing. They're just not elite level runners. And I know it seems kind of silly, but if you watch a youth soccer game, you will see an array of different running forms. You know what I mean? And some of them can run really fast. And what do you know? They do a lot of those things pretty right. And some of them are very, very slow. And they do a lot of these simple things very wrong.
I think there's a lot of things going on with a kid's body, and it's just a matter of putting it all together and realizing I move better when I got the arms involved.
Yeah, catching a kid really young and teaching them general mechanics is huge for their development in running form. If you let your kid stay behind the curve and didn't help them with the most basic level mechanics, they're just going to fall more and more behind, and then they may not even like the sport. Whether or not you want them to like the sport, at least give them the opportunity to play at a higher level if they can.
Give them a chance to feel the success.
Yeah.
Some kind of success is going to make you want to work harder and move forward. If you're not having fun, if you're not succeeding, you're probably not going to want to do it long term.
Absolutely. And I would say number 3 is probably the most important running form issue that I see all the time with young athletes. And it is during the acceleration phase as well as just super, super upright running. Have you ever seen the little kid that runs and all of a sudden his head almost comes off his shoulders?
Yeah.
I think that teaching kids to have a little bit of a dig phase is kind of important when you're younger. And this is for that youth generation of athletes that are kind of almost at that window where you know they're starting to fall behind. If you just spend a little bit of time on some leaning drills or even some 40-yard dash starts, real simple, have them bend over and touch the floor and then say go and have them accelerate, already leaning so far forward. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you've got to get a kid to quit running and letting his head tip back and staying so erect that there's no forward momentum.
I think that's part of they haven't been taught or they don't feel comfortable. Leaning forward takes you a little bit out of your comfort zone, and you got to learn to trust that because I'm going to have my body catch up. I'm not just going to fall forward.
Another great recommendation would be, a couple 40-yard dash starts, but if you've ever done a leaning sprint, a lot of people do these wrongs, but if we're talking about a very young group, there's not much to it. Stand with 2 feet together and start falling forward, and when you feel like you're about to fall on your face, have them take off and run 10, 15 feet. Doesn't have to be much, but the more you get them used to leaning forward, the more they kind of are going to mimic better runners. And I tell you, these 3 things can be very important for that very young group of athletes to not fall behind. There's simple little running tips that if you work with them a little bit, they just don't know.
Right. And I've noticed that when we work on that drill, that a lot of times they don't feel confident and comfortable just to glide into it. They'll maybe do the lean, then they got to stand back up.
Yeah. That's a really good point. So when you're doing this leaning drill, you want to make sure that the body actually falls forward, and then you catch with that first step and then gain ground. It's not a lean forward, catch, and then go directly upright. Another thing, if you've got some more room, you might even put some kind of a rope and put it up near their chest level so that when they tip, they stay under it on those first 2 or 3 steps. Now, don't get me wrong, that might be a little crazy if you don't have the right setup.
After we've done it a little bit.
Right. But hey, if you've got a young kid that has some issues like this, for sure, without a doubt, take the advice, work on the arms, work on the knees, and work on that dig phase and get rid of that upright running. And I'm telling you, give your kid a shot at being able to continue to play sports.